We just spent months trying to paint this boat.
Your orange peel looks like shit.
If you want to save yourself $500 in product, you better watch this. Our boat is probably crying because it just cost me another $500.
We're Murray, Heather, Eve, and Pearl Ginnick. We're a Canadian family of 4 who is always planning our next adventure. Winters are long and summers are short, so we try to make the most of each season. Oh, and if you're new here, in September 2022, we bought this project sailboat. Our plan is to get the boat splash ready for sometime in 2025 so we can sail south. Join us if you like watching boat work, roadside adventures, and trips to escape the winter blues. Hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss out on Ginnick's on the go.
We just spent months sanding, body filling, and sanding some more, trying to get this boat ready for paint. We were peeling through sanding discs like Donkey Kong dropping bananas. Hours turned into days, days turned into a week, and before we knew it, Murray was having chest pains, and I was damn near crippled. This boat was trying to kill us, but we pushed on. We finally got to the stage where we were ready to lay paint. The excitement of finally finishing this part of the build was mounting. We rolled on our all grip paint and tipped it meticulously because we realized after the first time that that's an essential step because we don't plan on naming our boat Soda Pop. The next day I went back to see what the final product looked like, and it looked not too bad aside from one spot that was kind of bubbled. The cabin top walls looked a little bit thin, but that was okay. We could put another coat of paint on it and it would be fine. So we decided to do a third coat. And this, my friends, is where the project went south. So I rolled on the paint and our friend Vic went behind me, tipping as I went. So we did 2 coats back to back, thinking that we had estimated the time in between coats to be about 45 minutes by the time that we rounded the cabin top. Once we finished, I looked over the boat and I was actually impressed. I thought, man, this looks like an acceptable paint job. Looks really nice. Kind of like the cockpit. Because the cockpit looks really nice, but the cockpit was protected. More protected than the sidewalls. So I was happy I could finally check this project off my list and start looking forward to installing the portholes and the hatches because that would make our boat watertight and I could stop pumping water out of the damn bilge. So off we went. Murray went to Sault Ste. Marie with the girls for a color throw festival and I headed off to the Annapolis Sailboat Show. 246. Ah, Annapolis, known as the Athens of America. This is the place where every sailor feels at home, where it's not unusual to see somebody lugging their new Ice Cove fridge freezer down the alleyway. A place where total strangers become fast friends and home to the largest in-water sailboat show in the world. Is it any wonder why so many content creators make their way to Annapolis every fall? Held at the Annapolis City Dock, this year's show premiered 16 sailboats that have never been seen at a boat show before. The logistics of setting up this show is absolutely impressive. And you should definitely go on over to my friend Emily and Cole's channel, The Adventure Cruise. They did a video on this whole setup last year in 2023. So this year I attended as press, but I also took part in the Cruises Creating Content booth, and I had an amazing time. I attended last year, and I was like a total noob. This year when I attended, I totally went feeling like I had imposter syndrome, because me and my tiny little channel got to participate as a content creator at the YouTube booth. Last year, I got to meet so many of the YouTubers that I watch, you know, every week. And this year, it was like reconnecting with old friends. And I got to cheer them all on at the International Cruisers Awards.
I'm Colin from Sailing Pilot Revival, and this is my boss on the super yachts, Captain Glenn.
Where I got to see my friends Rolf and Sasha not only win for Best Channel.
Spirit. I think I'm going to drink the rum first before talking.
Well, we really want to thank everybody. This is an absolute honor, especially having Ryan and Kaza presenting this award to us. As they said, it takes so much time to put these videos together, and we really just have so much respect for everyone that's doing it, because obviously we know just how much work it takes to put these videos together. And it really is an absolute honor to be standing up here in front of all of you guys here at the Unproven Awards.
To accept this award in front of all these epic channels is an insane honor. Like, we are extremely grateful and very happy for that right now. And then we also want to thank all the sponsors as well. Spice Island, Battleborn, Highfield. We would be swimming to shore without you. I don't know what we'd be
Not
doing.
lying.
And this is also the most opportune time I've ever had to thank someone truly special. She's standing right next to me, Sasha Myers. Everyone give it up for her. I have put this girl through the absolute ringer, like the ultimate test, and she's passed with flying colors and also led the charge on multiple times.
But I also got to watch them step into the next chapter of their lives.
But tonight I got all my family watching. We're in front of all our friends.
Congratulations, guys, and many happy returns.
After the International Cruisers Awards, I skipped the after party in favor of going for something to eat. So we ended up at a Denny's with David and Mary Shee and 3 of their patrons until about 1:30 in the morning. One of those patrons just happened to be a short little Aussie dude who I referred to in the Bounce Catamarans video as Graham Henderson. Graham also has a channel. He is at Prophecy Trimarans on YouTube. I will link him in the description. And Graham ends up being like the best connector I could have ever met at the Annapolis Sailboat Show. I call him Spider-Man because with the number of people he connects, it's just like a web. I had told Graham about my idea of making an episode about all the inspirational stories that were behind some of the people at the Annapolis Sailboat Show. And Graham, being Graham, offered to help introduce me to a few people who he knew had some very interesting stories, all of which will be coming out hopefully midweek for the next several weeks, so that I can tell their stories and still get you your bi-weekly Sunday episodes about boat work. So I hooked him up with a press pass so I could get him into the show early and he could introduce me to all these people. So thank you, Graham, for connecting me with all those amazing interviews. I attempted to get on as many boats as possible so that I could tour them and get some design ideas and also see how some of the new boats are laid out. Not just that, but I wanted to see what boats I might consider for future cruising when we decide that we're going to upgrade our boat, because we know that's in our future. I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by some of the production boats that are out there and how much they can fit onto such a tiny boat. Like, take for example, the 30-foot Beneteau.
Beneteau was able to fit 2 cabins, a full galley, salon, and a wet head onto a 30-foot boat. This is meant for full-time cruising, and I can't even believe it. It's amazing.
Considering this is a 30-foot boat, I have a ton of headroom. 5'5", I think you could be 6 foot and then some and still be comfortable in this room.
The week for me wrapped up just as quickly as it began with a party at the Chesapeake Lightcraft facility for all the content creators that had come into town for the Annapolis Sailboat Show. A trip over to the boat to inspect the paint job And my high from the Annapolis Sailboat Show was quickly deflated as I realized the paint on the sidewalls of the cabin top looked like it was crying. Not only that, but they reminded me of Taserface from the 100 because they had like orange peel and looked like they were scaly. Your orange peel looks like shit. Months of work, hours and hours of prep with no protection had caught up with us. What had caused the paint to look so unimpressive? Awful? After a lot of Googling, it would appear to be the wind.
Now, on a positive note, the cockpit doesn't look like that. The cockpit actually looks really good. And I think that's because I was in the cockpit and took so much time, and I did the horizontal tipping as well. And it was done like early in the day so that it had a lot of time to dry, where the sides, we were getting later in the day, so it was getting closer to the time where the temperature was gonna drop.
So now that we're here staring down the barrel of another $500 to fix this paint job, we have some tips to help you avoid making the same mistakes as we did. So number one, have some sort of protection. Whether that is simply a tarp over the boat with some kind of a structure, or you shrink wrap it, or you're able to paint indoors. That'll really help you to get a much better paint job than when you have a really windy atmosphere to paint in. Number two, don't rush. Just because you don't want to sand the boat again doesn't mean that you shouldn't take your time. You need to take your time, because if you decide that you're not going to wait that little bit extra time because you want to make sure that you're within the 24 to 48 hour window, you could end up making yourself even more work, like we did. Number three, I don't recommend doing wet on wet. That may have been the cause of why our paint kind of bubbled. We thought we had about 45 minutes in between coats, but that may not be enough. It may be better to let it dry for a few hours and then come back and do another coat. Number four is to keep your surface clean. So that means wearing booties, acetone when you can. Obviously you don't want to acetone in between coats because that's going to break down the paint, but try and keep your surface as clean as possible. Number five, don't leave it to the end of the season. If you leave it to the end of the season and all of a sudden something goes wrong, now you don't have any more season to correct the problem. So for us, we've now set ourselves back until the spring to be able to fix the sidewalls of the cabin. And if you listen to Murray, he's going to tell you that it's not a big deal and that we can fix it with a little bit of sanding, but it's going to be sanding, and we're going to probably have to do another coat of paint, because as much as the paint has adhered to the surface and is protecting the fiberglass, which is what we need it to do, it doesn't look very nice. And that's why we painted the boat. We want it to look nice and we want it to look professional. We don't want it to look like a homemade boat. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that anytime that we put an episode out, you get notified. Leave a comment down below if you have an idea that you'd like to see us use for an episode. We're always looking for feedback as well, so if you want to leave a comment about the things that you liked or didn't like, that would be helpful. If you know somebody who you think would enjoy this content, please feel free to share our video with them. It really helps us out, and they might get something out of it too. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye. If you'd like to see us make an episode about,